Okay. So we've got 6 questions for you, and a lot of these are bigger, kind of more broad topics. So feel free. I know you could probably talk for hours about what you would do for each different subject. So feel free to just give, I don't know, a summary of what you plan on doing. And I'll start off with housing in Nebraska. Obviously, this is a big issue in the state, especially affordable housing. So if you were elected, what are some things that you would help make houses more affordable?
Yeah, it's really an important topic. We've been working on it here in Platte County for an extended period of time, and I think it's taken too long of a time for Nebraskans to understand what on earth has happened. Why do we have a critical workforce housing issue across the state? And I would say, I think we maybe understood it about 5-6 years ago, and why we haven't, I think we got the answer finally answered, why we don't have it. And then we were able to start coming together and working to solve it. And we don't have affordable workforce housing, and didn't get after it because nobody could make any money building them. And so that has created an incredible vacuum. Now we're starting to get it figured out. And so there's so it's a huge issue. It has to be solved, and it has to be solved by leadership and by engaging and encouraging. No Nebraska community needs to be told what to do. They need to be a part of the conversation to understand what all the possibilities are. If the market doesn't fill something, that's to me when government needs to be a part of the process. So there's great models everywhere, and every community has to get it addressed if they're going to have community vitality. And so there are communities where businesses are buying land, deeding it to the city so that the infrastructure cost is down and the developer can build several lots of homes. There's private business where we're going together and we're building it. There's the workforce community, the community housing project that's helped. I don't believe the crisis is so big. I believe every community has to come together and solve it now, whether it's with some city help, county help, businesses coming together, developers coming together to get it done. Here's the great news. Wherever there is workforce housing being built, everything is being sold long before the paint's dry. Quite honestly, as soon as the sheetrock is on, the homes are being sold and they're being rented. So there's tremendous demand.
And another subject that ties into housing and them being affordable are property taxes. So if you were elected, what are some things that you would do to lower those? And also kind of a part 2 to that question is, what are some ways that you would help feed into the economy as well?
Yeah, well, I'm the candidate that's been talking about our kids, the futures our kids in Nebraska, and how we need to protect them, keep them, and train them. But the first thing that we've got to do for our kids is make sure they have a competitive environment to succeed and raise their families in. And so we're taxed too much as a state in every level. Our income tax is too high. Our property taxes are crazy. And so the first step is, as a leader, have to have courage to stop spending money. And it's a human nature flaw that we have, that it seems to be, no matter how much somebody says how conservative they are, we tend to be really good at spending other people's money. I believe we need to have that conversation everywhere. We have to stop spending. We have to stop spending at the state level. We have to decrease spending at the county level and at the city level. We have to do better. Number one. Number two, big time believer that we have to cut the property legs. We've got to get to income tax, but property tax is affecting every Nebraskan. So that's the first one. And there'd be 2 things. The school aid formula is not fair. It has to become fair. And I'm a believer that market-based assessment of property only feeds more money to government to keep spending up. So we need to change it to an income-based approach, not market-based, and just keep escalating.
Okay. Another one, we're just kind of rolling through these, is broadband. This is obviously huge, especially like in the Panhandle and other places. Even here in Kearney, I'll drive to Loop City and the service is completely different. I can hardly connect to internet, and that's not just calling out Loop City, but just other places. That's the reality here in Nebraska. So if elected, what are some things that you would do to get internet more accessible here in the state?
Well, it's one that I'm the only candidate that's been speaking about it for a year. Only candidate that's has a grassroots campaign and been in all 93 counties. We've been over 320 events. And speaking about two things that are really, really important. I'm a fiscal conservative, but I believe we're one of 7 states that doesn't do bonding. I believe we need to get in the game so that we have access, so that we can get 4-lane highways connected, and that we can do broadband access. We can't take 25 years to get broadband access accessible. It is a need, just like electricity is, and we have to come together and get that solved. Number one. And number two, government has to do a better job of accountability. There's way too many places where money has been spent, and the pandemic showed it out. Whether it was in the city of Columbus or other communities that thought they had great broadband access. And guess what? We did not get what we were supposed to be paid for. So we have to improve the accountability, and we have to make sure the shrinking of our communities can stop, because our kids want to live here. They have to have access to technology. We're in the 21st century. We're all in the technology business. As we like to say, we're in the technology business. We just happen to raise pigs. Every discipline's that way.
Okay. And I'm sorry, you cut out for like just 30 seconds.
Okay.
You went mute, but I think
broadband access.
Oh, I know. How ironic. But I want to just let you know and be transparent. I don't know if you want to go back, but instead of what you said, but I got the majority of it. It was just about maybe 20 seconds.
You tell, I'd have, if you think we covered it close enough, I'm okay. If you got it.
Yeah, sorry about that. I was
no,
like,
that's not a problem.
Okay. And then one of the last ones is public health. And this kind of ties in to broadband in the way that a lot of resources to get health is going online. You can now just like Zoom your doctor, especially people like the elderly who maybe can't make it in, stuff like that. So that's just one part of the question. So this is kind of a two-parter. So how would you make healthcare more affordable and more accessible to people in the rural areas where they might have to drive an hour to see a doctor? And also burnout, just getting out of the pandemic, lots of nurses and doctors, the whole healthcare field are feeling this burnout, and along with the staffing shortages. So you as governor, how would you address those two issues?
Yeah, well, I think number one, that what's really important in this workforce issue, it's not just healthcare. It's workforce shortages everywhere. So we all have to deal with that issue. There is way too much for our communities to grow, for our communities to be vibrant. All healthcare is local. All healthcare is local. We have to have a thriving critical access healthcare community within every 40 miles across our state. And so to do that, we have to have more of a focus on primary healthcare providers. And that will be a place where I'll work hard to make sure that we have enough incentivization for young people to get their degrees and be rewarded by coming in and participating and providing a service in communities that are short. And most of them are rural. There could be some underserved areas in our urban areas, but it's really, really important that we have the workforce. And the other piece would be mental health. We have to address the mental health issues, and that's another workforce issue where we have to be incentivizing young people to be able to look at that and have create a great opportunity. And then I'm going to just touch, I believe food security is a big deal. I'm a veterinarian. We have a crisis looming in veterinary food animal shortage. So if we don't have enough veterinarians and food animal, that's a crisis around the curve that nobody's talking about. And I'm a believer in our state that we need to incentivize 10 young people a year that will be getting their doctorate in veterinary medicine with a focus in food animal, because the last time I checked, we all like to eat 3 times a day, and most of us love animal protein.
Okay. Last question for you is, why should people vote for you for governor?
Well, gee whiz, how long do we have? No, I tell you what, I love Nebraska. I love the people in Nebraska, Lauren. Everything that has happened to Suzanne and I and our family, we've been blessed 100 times more than we'd ever deserve. And it's all happened because of the people in the state of Nebraska. So I'm a husband, I'm a father of 4, I'm a grandfather of 7, I'm a veterinarian, I'm a farmer, I'm a livestock producer, I'm a business person. We've taken lots of risks to create jobs. We've been a part of a livestock business that started with my dad and 60 sows on a dirt lot, and we've grown that to over 1,000 Nebraska jobs. We've gotten in the genetics business. We're the longest held genetic supplier in North America, longest owned, and we have about a 45% market share. That's created another 250 jobs, and we've gotten into the processing business, and that's another 1,500 jobs, all here in Nebraska. We've been everywhere in Nebraska, have relationships, and I think that is, I think those are things that make a big difference. And I guess, as I say, in the end, experience matters. Who the next governor is for the next 10 years, we're at a critical threshold. Experience, business experience, common sense experience, less government belief in standing up for to defend all of our practices in business and in livestock. I have the most experience of any candidate, no comparison.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.